What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I have my 2024 Honda CBR650R with the Eclutch, and I'm going to give you 5 things I like and 5 things I dislike about this bike. And some of them kind of go hand in hand, so you're going to want to stick around to watch this because I got some interesting things to say about it. So we're going to start off with the likes on this bike.
You know I like my dessert first.
And The Rock said it best, you gotta like dessert first. So starting off with number 1, which is very obvious, I love the Eclutch on the bike. It's one of the main reasons why I bought the bike. And what's great about it is that you do not need to touch the clutch at all. You can 100% just use your foot like a quick shifter, all the way up, all the way down, no problems at all. Just shift like you normally would, just never touch the clutch. And I've actually tested this, that it is slightly faster than using manual, which is kind of obvious because, you know, obviously it takes more time to pull the clutch in, shift, let it out. But I did do a test on it. There is a 0 to 100 video. You can see that right here. And it is great. It kind of shows how fast it takes. It is about 8 seconds to 100 miles an hour on this bike, roughly about 9 with the manual mode. But this bike is plenty fast, but that's for another story. We are talking mainly about the Eclutch right now. So like I said, you don't have to touch the clutch at all, which is great for people like me. I actually have a cyst in my wrist that kind of gives me problems when I have to shift too much. So it's great in traffic. And I'm going to show you a clip right now that kind of actually explains what happens when you use this bike in traffic, because it is super helpful. And trust me, once you experience it, you never want to go back to a normal bike. Now you can see I'm in first gear right now. I don't even need to hold the clutch. So when you're in traffic and say a car inches forward, all you gotta do is just very lightly hit the gas and it'll just inch forward ever so slightly. And it's not like herky-jerky or anything like that. It's actually pretty smooth. So a lot of people say, you know, it's kind of weird when it's in the low RPMs, and it kind of can be, but that's only when you're like, you know, somewhere in, I want to say like this range right here, between 8 mile an hour and like 5. Maybe it's kind of like, do I grab, do I not? So Eclutch is actually really helpful for situations like this. You don't need to worry about it when you're sitting at a red light and then all of a sudden you see a car coming up hauling ass. You can just boop, out of the way. No problem, nothing at all. And so obviously with that clip you can kind of see how easy it is to use this bike in Eclutch mode when you're in traffic. And same thing while you're riding, super easy, never touch the clutch, shift gears like normal, effortlessly. It's great. Now moving on to number 2, which is kind of another obvious, which I actually kind of made a video about this a while back, which is why I chose this bike in the beginning, is the comfortability of this bike. You are not in an aggressive stance. This is still stock height, stock bars, everything like that. The only thing that's changed is the grips in here. But this is my average riding position. I can choose to go full tuck if I want, or I can ride a normal, which I am very upright in a sense, and your feet are kind of straight below you instead of for back, whereas more traditional sport bikes like a leader bike, your handlebars will be maybe further down here and you're shifting more back here, which is a little aggressive. And some people like me, I have back problems, I can't do it. So obviously this is one of the other major functions that is great about this bike, is that I've ridden this bike for 3 hours straight, 0 problems. Even the seat in the stock form, generally not that bad. You may get a little numb, but it's not that bad at all. Now moving on to number 3, it is the 4-cylinder that is inside this bike. Now this bike comes equipped with a inline 4 649cc 94 horsepower engine, which in its class for the middleweight sport bike is the only one that comes with a 4-cylinder. Every other bike is a 2-cylinder, so only 4-cylinder, which is great for a couple things. Fuel economy, wonderful. Commuting, amazing. And top end power. It's really good once you start getting into the high RPMs. 6,000 RPMs is right when this bike likes to wake up. So redlining at about 12.5, very good for the opportunity to just pull away once you get into the power band. Kind of sucks on the low end, but top end, wonderful. It's got plenty of power, very comfortable, very fuel economic, which is also great. And just overall, great power bike. Now coming on down to number 4, this is definitely more my opinion. I know not everybody is the same, but for me, I love the look of the bike. It is an aggressive style. It looks like the 1000cc bike. You know, you got the 1000 double R out there. I think all of the bikes for this model year, like 2024, CBR 500, 650, and the 1000 all look almost identical, which is kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, but also kind of sucks, but I'm gonna lean more towards the cool factor on this one just because of how it looks. When you first look at this bike, you're gonna have no idea that this is even a 650. Unless you know what you're looking for, you're probably gonna think it's more of the 1000 until you get up close to it, and then you will see the badge on the side that says 650R. But otherwise, looks amazing. I definitely prefer the sport style over a naked bike. I've never been a fan of the naked. I've definitely preferred sport, and I love sharp edges. So obviously here on the front end, it comes to a very sharp point, sharp edge here. Everything is sharp, even when it comes down to the edges here, the lines, everything. I'm not a fan of the rounded look, especially on the older bikes. That's why I never really owned an older sport bike. It's because I've never been a fan of the round look. Obviously, I mean, just like every kid has that Lamborghini Gallardo picture in their bedroom when they were growing up, you know, sharp edges, love them, have always loved them. Never been fond of the bubble look. It's just not me. So number 4, I'm gonna keep it simple on this one. I just love the look of it. And now coming to our final one, number 5 of the things that I like about this bike, and that is the cost effectiveness if something were to ever happen. And that is, for example, the Eclutch on this bike. Say it just craps out for some reason. That is a $100 replacement. When you think of things like a quick shifter and all that stuff, you know, it is just a lot of involvement when it comes to computer, programming, all these things. If it didn't come with it, it's very difficult to add it. A lot of cost involved. But with this bike, it has been quoted that it is $100 to replace the Eclutch if it should ever go bad. And honestly, that is pretty amazing when it comes to something like that, because companies now, they will love to say that is a $1,000 part and another $1,000 in labor. I can't vouch for how much labor it costs because I don't know what it takes to replace this. However, I do know that they have said that it is about $100 for the part, and it's about a 4-pound weight difference. So really, you don't even really notice that it's there. So that's pretty also a great thing about the bike, which kind of goes back into comfortability. A lot of people mention that it is kind of bulky. It's not really. You don't even really notice it. You might notice it a little bit if you're taller. I'm 5'9", fits great for me. So that's my last thing when it comes to the 5 likes. It was a little bit difficult to say the things that I like about this bike because I definitely have a lot more dislikes on this bike, which is not bad, but I'm gonna get into them real quick. Now, coming to the 5 things I dislike, it was a lot easier to name 5 things that I dislike about this bike than the 5 things that I like about this bike, only because I think about them more often, because obviously I dislike them. So it is something that is more fresh on my mind, whereas if I like it, I just hop on the bike, I enjoy the ride. So let's get into the 5 things I dislike about the bike, and let's go from there. Now, starting off with number 1, which kind of is gonna morph into number 2, but I'm gonna start off with number 1 right here. That is the false neutral. It happens on every single one of my Hondas I've ever owned, but on this one, it is a little bit more aggravating because of number 2. But just like I mentioned, every Honda I've ever owned loves to do false neutral. It is not just this bike. Obviously, other bikes do it, but Honda, I don't know why. I've tried many things of shifting harder, changing the shift points from medium to soft. This bike has a problem where it loves to false neutral, and it's a bigger problem on this bike versus others because of number 2. And when it comes to number 2, that is again the Eclutch. Now, for those of you that don't know about this bike, when you're in neutral, you cannot override the Eclutch. Will not do it. You can pull the clutch in all day long, does not do it. All right, so check this out. I'm on the bike right now, and we're in neutral. I'm sitting on it just because I have the kickstand up. So in neutral, you cannot pull in the clutch. It does not exist in neutral. You are fully in Eclutch. And as you see over here, you got this little light here. That is supposed to go away if you pull in the clutch. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean by that. So in order to shift to first gear, you have to use the Eclutch, shift down, you're in first gear. Now, you can pull in the clutch, you see that light goes away, and then you can inch forward or whatever, everything just like that, like normal in first gear. But as soon as you shift it to neutral, lost it, nothing. And there's a major reason why I dislike this. Now let me explain why I hate that so much. And that is because say you are going 50 miles an hour you just shifted up to second gear, it doesn't find it, now you're in neutral. Now that because you are in neutral, you can no longer pull the clutch in. Your only option is to slow down to a safer speed and pull off to the side of the road and then shift back into first, or try to shift up to second, or as you are coasting along, you try to shift up to second or first, whichever one, but you have to do it using the E-clutch. Now your gearing and speed is completely off, and as you try to shift up into second, it slams that gear into second, and it just sounds awful. It sounds like you're gonna blow the gearbox out of this bike, and it is just a terrible time. Nobody likes it. I absolutely hate that about this bike. Honda, if you are listening to me on this one, you need to find a way so that pulling in the clutch overrides it in no matter what you do, because that is just very unsafe. Say, you know, that shifts into second gear and it blows the gearbox out, and now you lock the rear wheel up and you're going 50 miles an hour. What do you do at that point? You know, you're kind of stuck. So obviously, if you could pull the clutch in and just coast along, or shift into a second gear and then coast along until you can get yourself back together, that would be wonderful. But that is one of the biggest things I hate about this bike. It is awful. I wish they would fix that, because that is absolutely just kind of unacceptable in my eyes. Now, one thing I do want to mention about that is there is kind of a fix that I will be coming out with a video soon. I'm waiting on the part to arrive. But basically, there's a part that you can add to your shifter that will stiffen up the gear so that way it shifts into second or first just a little bit tighter, because obviously when you have a long shaft and you were to twist it here, the momentum here and the torque is not as strong. So obviously the further you go, a little bit less on this side, doesn't always click. So there is a fix that is coming. Actually, I don't know if it's a full fix, but we will test it out in that video when it comes. I'm hoping it comes within the next week or so. So look out for that video. It's probably gonna be the next one that I make, but those are definitely the top two that I have on this bike that I cannot stand about it. So let's move on to number 3. Now, number 3 comes to the accessories of this bike. In America, this is the only option of bike that you can get. So if you wanted this bike in America, this exact bike is what you're gonna get. With E-clutch, does not come without it, and in the red color, nothing else. All the other bikes, I mean, you look at Suzuki's GSX-8R, comes in blue and yellow. That's awesome, you can switch colors up. Even in Europe, it comes in black and red. You know, why can't we get the option here? And I definitely wish it came with a different option. I hate that you're stuck with one color. What if it was a color I didn't like? You know, there's that, which obviously you don't have to buy the bike. That is completely up to you, but I kind of wish it had more options. But with that being said, the more that you guys watch this video and the more subscribers I get and the more money I get out of this, this bike will be changing very soon. I had mentioned in another video that once I get about $1,000 from my YouTube channel, this will be changing to a full one-of-one custom design on it. There's going to be my bike, no others that look like it, so look out for that video as it comes along. I'm hoping by the end of the year that happens. I'm somewhere around the $500 mark right now that I've earned from YouTube, so I definitely appreciate you guys for watching, and I thank you guys for that, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do stuff like this. But continuing on with the accessories and everything like that, there's not much for this bike, which I will give it that it is a new bike. Obviously with new bikes, the aftermarket accessories are not there yet. They take about a year or two around. This exhaust technically does not fit this bike. This was designed for the CB bike, the CB650R, and the only reason why they say that it doesn't fit is because technically right around here, there is a spring on the outside of the exhaust that rubs against the fender, or rubs against the fairing. So it technically makes a small vibration noise, which isn't bad. You can technically fix it with a little bit of foam and everything like that, but it doesn't generally fit. And then of course, if you were to buy this bike in America, it does not come with the race, I think it's the sport package, doesn't come with the back seat replacement so that you can have a full cowl here. Doesn't come with the windscreen that is more aggressive, everything like that for race bikes. So obviously in America, that is still one of our things, maybe not for everybody. I know Europe, you can get all that stuff and every other country can get it. I don't know why America can't, but that's just what it is. I would like to get a rear cowling for this because I think it looks better and I can always switch it back and forth whether my wife is riding with me or not. Accessory wise, there's nothing really out there. Obviously I've been kind of the first one to really put these videos out there, which kind of helps you guys because let me mess it up and then you learn from my mistakes. So that is also a good thing by me making these videos. But at the same time, that also can be bad, because if I do something and I think it's right, it may be wrong. So you can't always take everything I say to heart, because it might be good for me, bad for you. So now coming up to number 4 of the things that I dislike about this bike. In America, again, it's an American thing, I don't know why, Honda Roadsync doesn't work. It was sold to us as the idea that you can have navigation on this bike, so you don't have to attach your phone or anything like that, or listen to the GPS through your cardo unit. You could put it up there and it'll tell you, go straight for 100 miles, turn right on this turn, whatever. It doesn't work in America. I don't know why, they can't figure it out, but the Roadsync doesn't connect. It doesn't have the ability to see this bike. It's like it's not even in the menu. And then I think they just don't have the ability to get like the US maps. I don't know why that's a thing. But yeah, that was one thing that I was actually really disappointed about, because I like to go places and I don't always know where I'm going, but I don't want to have to attach my phone up here, because then that is just more distraction, more things that I have to deal with, potentially of losing my phone. So that is something that you definitely got to look out for. I was really hoping for it to work. I don't know why it hasn't worked. I don't know if they're going to come out with an ability for it to work anytime soon, but I hope it does, because I really want that feature and I'm kind of disappointed that it doesn't have it. So that was number 4. Obviously that is just kind of a personal thing. I don't know why America kind of gets the worst version of this bike, because I think Europe got it like 6 months to 8 months before America did, and then America got it, and then for some reason it's worse. Doesn't really make any sense to me, but again, it's still a great bike, don't get me wrong. It just, for some reason, doesn't have the features that the other bikes do. Why does that happen? I don't know. So it is what it is. Moving on to number 5. And now to our final one about this bike that I dislike, and that comes to the no rear bobbins. I don't know why it doesn't come with bobbins, or at least the ability to add bobbins to the bike, but I wish there was a way that you could add something to it. There is actually a way you can do it, where you can remove the rear chain tensioners and you can replace this with one that has the ability to add a bobbin to it. But from the factory, there is no way to have it on there. There's nothing that you can add to the side. So what you have to do is kind of gonna get one of those eBay specials, Amazon specials with the L brackets in order to lift this bike up, because proper maintenance really depends on something like that. You need to get the rear tire off the ground so you can spin the wheel, or even if you need to replace the tires or things like that, you need to have the ability to get this bike to maintenance it, and you can't do that if the things are not on there. So that does kind of suck. I wish there was a way to do it, and I believe if you add the chain tensioners to the bike and you put the bobbins on there, you have to take them off in order to do something. I can't remember what it is. So obviously that is a little bit more opinionated to me, because I am very big on my maintenance. I always do the chain cleaning at 600 miles. Obviously doing the oil changes, you need to have the ability to get under it. It's kind of hard to get under it when it's at the stock form of sitting there. So there is obviously a lot of different reasons why you kind of need to have the stands in order to do this. I don't know why it doesn't come with it. Like literally every other bike has the ability to add bobbins to the rear of the bike. It's not really a major thing, but it is one of the things that should really have come with the bike. It's something to do maintenance. Why is it not easy to do maintenance on this bike? Now that does conclude today's video for the top 5 things I like and dislike about the bike. There are many different things that people have that they love and hate about this bike. Obviously number 1 and 2 of my dislikes was very heated. You can kind of tell that by the way I was animating myself, but I really dislike the way that the Eclutch functions of the neutral state. I dislike that, but I will add some honorable mentions here. Obviously the weight of the bike doesn't bother me at all. I know other people say it is a heavy bike. I have no issues throwing this bike sideways into a turn. I can lean this bike pretty far, even on the stock tires. I don't know if you can see, but I've only got a very small amount of chicken strip left on this bike. So stock tires, stock weight, I haven't had any problem throwing this bike. I don't really understand why other people have issues about riding this. I don't know if they don't have the skill to ride a heavier bike or if it's just something that they dislike. I don't really find it much of a difference, you know? It's just me. But obviously, everybody has their own opinions. These are mine. And yeah. But I thank you guys for watching. Obviously, if you have other things you like about the bike and dislike about the bike, let me know down in the comments, because I really like to hear from you guys. I really appreciate the feedback. I do listen to a lot of the comments. I do actually read everything that you guys say to me, and I always try to get back to you relatively quickly because I am a small channel. So I thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.